In this printable science vid, we're going to be showing you how you can print and assemble this handy jeweler's screwdriver chuck. Don't adjust your internet feed. We'll be right back. Welcome to Printable Science, and thanks for clicking. We have a fairly simple project for you today. This is a jeweler's screwdriver, which is used for fastening and tightening and loosening, of course, small screws. And what makes it distinctive is that it has a top that rotates so that you can hold it like this with your finger on the top, and that allows you to both keep the screw under some pressure, keeping it straight up and down, and also provide torque to loosen and unloosen. So it's fairly handy to have, particularly with small printed parts in a 3D printer environment, particularly if you're fastening things together with screws and things of that nature. Now, we have a problem, of course, because 3D printed material is just not all that strong. It's plastic, and of course any of the torque that you would generate with a screwdriver, particularly given that the blades are often very thin, would simply bend, twist, and fall apart if you attempted to make the head of the screwdriver out of plastic. But, however, as probably anyone who's worked around the house knows, you go off to your local hardware store and you buy a small little toolkit to address your concerns, and you end up with little things like this. And part of that selection is this kind of thing, a whole bunch of little screwdriver head bits, which are designed to fit into a holder that comes with your kit. Now, the primary purpose, I think, of those kits is to allow them to boast large numbers, or at least the marketing of them. So we have, for instance, this one here, 43 pieces. Well, over half of the 43 pieces, if we look inside here, are these rather silly screwdriver bits. Now, what we can do is we can make a socket holder ourselves in the shape of a jeweler's screwdriver and pop in these bits as we want to, and that gives us both the strength that we need for a screwdriver and the flexibility of being able to print as many of these as we want. And we can have a whole bunch of dedicated jeweler's screwdrivers built in this fashion, or make them interchangeable like this, you see. And so here is our jeweler's screwdriver, which is pretty straightforward. It's only composed of 3 pieces. We have the barrel, and we have the rotating top, and then we have the 3D printed screw to secure it in. These are fairly easy and straightforward to print, although you'll find that the handle is kind of too tall and too thin to print without a brim. And so you can see here we've printed this with a brim so that it'll remain standing as it's printed on the printer. So, that being the case, let's put one of these together and we'll see how it works. So the first thing we have to do, of course, is remove the brim, and that just sort of probably will peel off for you as it's peeling off for me. Now, there's no necessity to dress or clean this up, because what we'll be putting on top of that is something that turns on it and won't create any problem for the rough edge that's left after you pull off the brim. But, you know, if you're fancy and want to be complete, you can always get a little bit of sandpaper and just clean that edge up, and that'll be it. Our pieces were printed in PLA with a 0.2 millimeter layer height, 2 perimeters, 20% infill, and as I say, just a brim for the vertical, or I should say for the barrel of the screwdriver. And you can get those files to print this off of Thingiverse, the links supplied below, or from our Printable Science website. Then all you have to do is take your spinner at the top, put the screw in it, and drop it in, push it down, start it in the in the handle, and then using one of our 3D printed jeweler's screwdrivers. This is a little self-referential recursive problem. How do you do this if you haven't printed a jeweler's screwdriver already? But I'll leave that for you to figure out. And so you just, as I say, put that in, tighten it up. You see, and there's the jeweler's action in action. And we just tighten it up until it is loose enough to spin, but not so loose that it falls apart. And there you have it. Now, if you're getting fancy, you could always, before you put it together, you could put a drop of glue on the end, and when after you've screwed it down, of course, the glue will set, and it won't be going anywhere. It won't loosen or tighten. So there we have it. And then with that having been accomplished, we can just pick the blade, or sure I should say pick a bit that we want. Say for instance another flathead, and put it in. And the tolerance we've made is nice and tight, so there shouldn't be any problem now in terms of getting in. Now it may be, with depending on how well or how adjusted your printer is, that you'll find it very hard to get out, and so you can just use a pair of pliers or something. And after you've put it in 1 or 2 times, you'll find that you have no difficulty removing it by hand, and that you can still maintain enough friction between the parts so that it doesn't fall out in normal use. So there you have it. Here's our 3D printed jeweler's screwdriver handle, or chuck, and you can use that around the home or in your projects in your lab, or whatever it is that you've got going for you. I want to thank you for watching, and if you're interested in keeping in touch with what we're up to here at Printable Science, you know what you have to do. I also invite you to visit our website at printablescience.com, where all the science that fits, we print.